Guys, I know this might come as a shock, but YouTube might be out of touch, just a tiny little bit. YouTube is a really great site for a lot of reasons, including the fact that I'm even able to make a video criticizing their decisions, which a lot of other platforms wouldn't allow. But I'm not sure if it's just that the people in charge at YouTube are just really unable to relate to what the average user wants, or if they're just being misled by teams of people who are justifying their own team's existence by recommending changes to the way the website works. And this isn't a new problem. It's literally something that's happened ever since the website was created. It just seems that just about every single change YouTube has ever made in the past has been controversial for one reason or another. But nothing has been as controversial as the time last year where they removed the dislike count from videos. And they've just gone and doubled down on it. So I guess it's never coming back, guys. On top of that, YouTube announced something else that's controversial. They're looking at ways to integrate NFTs into YouTube. So let's take a look at the details. But before we do that, it's editing MattyO here to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. YouTube has changed a lot over the years, but one thing that remains consistent is that those three things make videos and channels perform better. So as a small and growing channel, it would mean a lot to me if you would like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks. Now let's get back to the video. You may know YouTube CEO, Susan Wojcicki. Well, she runs a bit of a corporate YouTube account in her own name, usually only posting things about YouTube like interviews with creators or updates about what's going on with the website. Also, I just need to take a second to point out that the CEO of YouTube only has 100,000 subscribers. There's just something really funny to me about thinking that there were content farm channels out there with more subscribers than the woman who is literally in charge of the entire platform. I mean, you'd think that maybe they'd want her content to be seen more and push it out, but it doesn't look like they are. She's on the grind just like the rest of us, though her thumbnails could use just a tiny bit of work. But anyway, a few days ago, Susan posted a new video titled Our 2022 Priorities. Now in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the things that I disliked from the priorities video, but it's only fair to mention that the video is actually really hopeful about a lot of things, with information about how YouTube's expanding monetization, how shorts are doing really well, and a lot of things they're going to be improving about live streaming, and even that they're working towards giving creators much more information about content policy violations that get their videos in hot water. So I'd really recommend that you give it a watch yourself. It's only 5 minutes long and it's worth it if you're as interested in YouTube's behind the scenes as I am. But now let's get into the things that I really don't like. About a minute in, Susan mentions that as one of their priorities, they're looking to stay ahead and up to date with emerging technologies. And she specifically mentions NFTs.
We're also looking further ahead to help creators capitalize on emerging technologies, including NFTs, while enhancing the experience creators and fans have on YouTube.
Now, it is a short part of the video, but it's something that we really need to push back on. As somebody who knows a thing or two about computers, I find nothing more cringe than people unironically talking about NFTs, at least in the current implementation of them. If you actually take a look at a lot of the people who buy NFTs, you'll notice something about them. It's usually people with a marketing background or somebody who's a hype man. If you look at the actual tech behind them, there's a lot of problems. For instance, that if the server hosting your NFTs goes down, or somebody buys the address, your NFT can basically point to a blank server address, or the person who owns that host name can point your NFT's link to any random thing they want. But that's not really why I think that it's bad for YouTube to venture into NFTs. There's two main reasons that I do. The first and most important of which being that just last year, a number of high-profile YouTubers with large and young user bases were literally caught scamming their own fans with cryptocurrency. How can YouTube really expect any user to trust any foray that they make into the crypto space when large numbers of viewers, the average day users of this site, have lost money to crypto scams pushed by their own favorite creators already? How can they possibly make sure that people don't use their new NFT integration to scam people? They need to address those problems before they can even think about integrating anything relating to the blockchain technologies like NFTs onto the site. It's not just a bad look, it's a trust problem, and a serious one that they're gonna have to solve. And beyond that, probably largely in response to the scams that everybody saw last year, it seems like everyone who isn't themselves an owner of an NFT or in the crypto space is against NFTs or thinks that they're just stupid. I literally do not know one single person who thinks that NFTs are something that they would buy. And maybe that's anecdotal, but you can see the same sentiment on Twitter, which just implemented a feature to let people showcase their NFTs. Just look at the replies to any tweet about an NFT and you'll see a negative sentiment. I mean, come on guys. We all know how to right click, save image as. Not to mention, just days after the Twitter NFT feature launched, somebody made a popular extension to allow you to block anybody who links to an NFT on their profile automatically. So that's what the regular public thinks. The regular public doesn't even want to have to talk to people who are these NFT shills. I honestly think that the NFT hype is limited only to marketing bros and idea guys on the West Coast who don't know enough about technology to be able to turn on a computer, let alone understand what a blockchain is. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I catch you using the words NFT, blockchain, or even metaverse in a sentence unironically, I pretty much assume that you're just using buzzwords and have no actual idea what you're talking about. So I really hope they decide not to bring NFTs to YouTube, though I do think it's something that they'll probably push on with, despite the criticism, since they've recently lost a lot of their high-level executives, including Fwiz of YouTube Gaming, who decided to take jobs at crypto companies. Now onto the main course, the dislike button. If you haven't noticed yet, YouTube made the dislike count invisible to the public a few months ago, and everyone, I mean literally everybody, thinks that was a bad move, except the people that are high up at YouTube, I guess. I mean, I think that trending on Twitter, making it to the front page of Reddit, and hundreds of news articles about why it's a bad idea might make them second guess themselves. But no, they're just doubling down, and they genuinely are even trying to mislead people as to the argument that people use to explain why removing the dislike count is a bad idea.
We also heard from many of you about the removal of the public dislike count on YouTube, and I know that this decision was controversial. Some of you mentioned dislikes helped you decide what videos to watch, but dislikes were never shown to people on the homepage, search results, up next screens, where users were most likely to choose a video. People dislike videos for many reasons, including some that have nothing to do with the video, which means that it's not always an accurate way to select which video to watch. We also saw the dislike count harming parts of our ecosystem through dislike attacks, as people actively work to drive up the number of dislikes on a creator's video. And these dislike attacks often targeted smaller creators and those just getting started. So we experimented with removing the dislike counts across millions of videos over many months. And every way we looked at it, we did not see a meaningful difference in viewership, regardless of whether or not there was a public dislike count. And importantly, it reduced dislike attacks. Creators will still be able to find their dislike counts in YouTube Studio if they find it a helpful metric, and viewers can still dislike videos to inform their recommendation.
That section was over a minute of the entire 5-minute video about their 2022 priorities, so at least we know that they did hear the criticism. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so long trying to justify their bad decision making. They frame it as us lying to them that we use dislikes to decide whether or not to watch a video, by saying that dislikes were never displayed on the homepage, search results, or next up page, where people typically decide to click on a video to watch. They're either misunderstanding what people are saying, or they're being outright malicious in their attempt to hide the real way people use the dislike buttons. Nobody was saying that they looked at the dislike on the homepage or in the search results, because you can't. What people were saying was when you clicked on a video, you could use the dislike button to decide whether or not the video was worth watching or trustworthy, and click right off of it if it's not. So yeah, you technically clicked onto it and gave it a view, but then you just leave. It's especially important in the context of tutorial videos, because you can click on a tutorial video and not know if it's safe to follow it or not. And considering the number of fake how to get free Robux videos on the website that prey on young users, you'd think that they'd rather have more defense against bad videos, bad tutorials, fake tutorials, rather than remove one of the only ways to safely and anonymously show that you disagree with a video. I also still disagree with the idea that dislike attacks were a real problem, especially facing small creators. They're gonna have to share some real numbers on that before anybody believes them. Usually the rule is that the simplest answer is the correct one, and in this case the simplest answer is that it's better for brands and for YouTube itself if there is no public dislike count. Since there have been a large number of brand posts like commercials that get disliked to death, and that even includes YouTube Rewind, along with tons of other random commercials from random companies, they obviously want to stop the dislikes on those kind of videos because it makes the people who approve the ad or the video look bad. It has a negative impact on a company's public perception. Also, it's just easier to silence people who are criticizing you than it is to actually listen to them and understand why people are upset with your brand and your company. Removing dislikes makes YouTube more brand safe, as it removes a way for people to criticize brands for their bad takes, which in turn could end up making more money for YouTube. It's not a bad business decision for them. I understand why they would want to remove the dislike buttons, but it just hurts their standing with their users. It removes community trust, which is already at an all-time low. People are always talking about alternative platforms these days, and I can't help but wonder how long it will be until there's a real competitor for YouTube. And I think that when there is, events like this, where websites don't listen to their communities about what they want and what they don't want, will really help out YouTube competitors, because YouTube has a history of ignoring what their users want to go with what they think their data says. It just annoys me. In conclusion, YouTube's making some bad decisions again, but what else is new? Like I said at the beginning, YouTube is a great website with a lot of potential, which is why I always try to make these kinds of videos, hoping that someone from YouTube will see it and listen to my arguments, no matter how much of a pipe dream that is. What do you guys think? Are you pro or anti-NFT on YouTube? Are you still upset about the dislike count being removed, or have you moved past it already? Be sure to let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. God bless you.